This is a Thunder Dog podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Midnight Musing. This is the podcast where I talk to my friends about the things that keep them up at night. My name is Evan. I'm your host and, well, less of a sad boy this time around. On this episode, I talk to my friend Sam, who I've known for almost half my life at this point, which is crazy. We talk about the definition of art, what it takes to be an artist, and whether we think we deserve such a lofty title. I'm not very good at segues, so let's just jump right in. I know I'm creating things, but in no way do I consider myself an artist.
It's kind of weird thinking of yourself that way almost, like not directed at anyone in particular, but like people who go to OCAD, for example.
Yeah.
In Toronto, they're like, I'm an artist. I go to art school. I am an artist. But then it's like, if you didn't pursue art
then what would
in
you be?
your education, are you still an artist if you do art? Like, does that still...
Yeah, like sometimes when you go home from work, you like paint or you scribble. Like, does that make you an artist? Or like, does it have to be a profession to be considered like artist? Like,
my hot take is the answer is extremely no.
Yeah.
Education has no real bearing on your artistic talent or ability at all. I feel like art school is good for learning like techniques and like learning art history and stuff like that. And if you really wanted to pursue one particular field of art, like if you really wanted to do painting, you wanted to go to art school for painting to learn like painting techniques and stuff like that, I could see that.
Yeah, sure.
But you could be the best painter in the world and you just painted in your room forever and never went to art school.
Yeah.
So it's nice knowing that education has no bearing on whether or not you're an artist, but at the same time, for me, I'm like, I never took an art class or anything, so I don't feel like I could consider myself that, because I just do this for fun, like as a hobby.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no logic to it, and I guess that's kind of like art often defies logic anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to use a logical system to like categorize like such just a mess of whatever art wants to be, like, doesn't work.
Yeah, trying to put what art is in a box is like the antithesis of what it is.
Because as soon as you like have a definition, somebody's gonna be like, I don't like that definition, I'm gonna do the opposite, but it's art.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Dadaism is.
That's what I was just thinking when you were saying that. I'm like, we're just gonna put a toilet in the museum and that's the sculpture. Fuck you.
Yep. I
And
ripped it off a bathroom wall.
That's sick. That's what it's about. Just doing whatever.
Yeah, like, for real.
I feel like considering yourself, like, for me, I regard people who are artistic, who, like, are really talented at, like, practical arts or, like, painting, drawing, like, sculpture.
The visual arts.
And, like, musical artists. Like, I hold them in very high regard in my mind. So but I don't hold myself in very high regard in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I consider myself an artist, I would have to put myself up with those people.
Right.
And in my brain, I'm like, no. What? No, what do you...
Those people are good. You can't put yourself in the same category as a good person.
Like, you have a pack of crayons that you carry around with you. Like, are you an artist? Am I? I'm like, in a band and yell. Does that make me an artist?
But I mean, if a dude can slap a toilet in a museum, like, why not? Like, it's like a tough. I think part of it is like, I don't really define myself in any way. Like, if somebody asked me to describe myself, I'd be like, you know, I'm me. I'm boring. So like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because like I don't consider myself a person that does things, right? Like, I don't consider myself like, well, I guess previous to about 4 months ago, I considered myself just a student. That was just it. Like, I was a high school student or a college student or whatever. Like, student was the bubble, and then like That's all I needed.
You graduated and now you're outside of it and you're like, oh, I'm an actual fully fledged human guy now.
Yeah.
What am I though?
Like, because like I don't consider myself an artist, as we've covered. I don't consider like, I don't know what other labels there can be. I'm not a businessman.
You're not?
No. Believe it or not, I don't know how numbers work. I don't know how to pay my own taxes, let alone a company's taxes.
Does anyone know how to pay their own taxes? Like, I think my parents do.
But yeah, like I don't see myself with labels because I'm just me to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't, like, it's not that I just don't label myself with artist. I don't label myself with anything.
Well, I feel like it's hard to describe yourself too because you already know everything about you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to explain yourself to yourself because
yeah.
you know everything.
You've been there for at least most of it.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
do you consider anything that you make art? Like, do you think your podcast is like an artistic venture?
No, this is me rambling, honestly. Like, this is something I'm going to look back on in 3 years and be like, really? Like, I think art, maybe like, to me, I guess art, like, it existing is the purpose, and everything I make has a separate purpose. Kind of like if I make something like as a logo, I don't consider that art necessarily because I'm like, oh, well, it's just going to be part of like whatever, a business or something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, I feel like art is more of like a standalone, like, pow, this is it. Enjoy this piece.
Yeah.
And I can't make that. Like, even before when I was doing things for school, it'd be like, well, this is for an assignment. So it's not like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess art just kind of like has its own intrinsic value rather than it having a purpose outside of it existing to me, which is why nothing I do to myself counts as art. I don't know. Well, I mean, would you consider your music art? Like, if it's separated from yourself.
That's so hard to do. At the same time, a lot of the stuff that my band does is separate from me.
Yeah.
Or I don't have... It's so weird. It's very weird because music is art, right? Like,
100%.
it is. It just is. But considering my part in it, art is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my other bandmates play instruments.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the vocalist of the band.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like not as artistically involved in it, only because I'm not involved in making the actual instrument.
Right.
In, like, the instrumental parts. But
you also, like, I'm not saying you need lyrics to make it music, but,
yeah.
like, I don't know. The lyrics, like, have to work as a part of the music. Like, if you just are talking over the music, like, to no beat or rhythm, then, like, that doesn't quite work as well. Like, your aspect might not necessarily be, like, holding an instrument or anything, but you're using your voice as an instrument.
I suppose so.
So, like, I think it's an integral part of the song.
This is that conflicting part where it's like, how do I consider myself on that level, but also it feels so weird and wrong to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm such, like, an amateur.
Yeah.
In every way, like an outsider to art for the most part.
Right.
I was never involved in it growing up. But at the same time, when I've talked to a lot of my friends about this who have gone to art school or whatever,
Right.
and they're always like, outsider art is the best art. Because it's not tainted by, like, institution, tainted by technique that's been forced upon you, like, stuff like that.
It's completely original.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been...
Not influenced by any other... Like, it is influenced, but it's not influenced by any institution of art.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me is very interesting, and I agree with that. But then it's like, hey, apply that to yourself. It's like, no.
Okay, but will someone teach me how to do that?
Me being good? No. So, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Because I think the outsider, like, people treat that as, like, the rawest form of art. Or, like, the most truthful. Because it's coming, like, straight from the artist without any sort of filters, I guess. Which makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like as well opposed to using technique to make it, you use like emotion and feeling, and you just went with your instinct to make it, which is cool. Not saying that like classically trained artists don't also use emotion and feeling in their pieces, because they obviously do, but they also are influenced a lot by technique and stuff like that.
Yeah, like there's a reason that like
Yeah.
various artistic styles become popular. Like there's a reason we have a Romantic era and a Baroque era and all that sort of shit, right? Like because at the time that was just I almost said that's the big mood.
That was the Romantic era was a big mood though. I'm trying to go back to that right now. I'm trying to run out to the forest and just leave all of this behind, dude. God.
But like that's just what people identified with, so that's what like came from it. Like so like
because there was the Industrial Revolution and everything, and everyone was like, we hate this, it sucks, we want nature back and nice things.
Yeah. So please give me a tree, please.
Yeah. And isn't that just the biggest mood in the world?
But like I don't know, I'm not an art historian, believe it or not. But how did like that become the style of the time? Is that just what people remember? And there was like a whole bunch of other shit going on that people just have forgotten about, and people only remember the similar shit?
Yeah. I feel like art historically has also often been tied intrinsically to its financial value. And in a lot of those times, the only people who would like commission art were like royal people and super rich people, and they would commission artists to do portraits and stuff like that, or like do huge pieces in like churches and stuff. So
yeah, a lot of it's going to be tied to the church, and
the style is influenced by what people wanted at the time. Like a lot of the popular paintings you might see like that are portraits in the ROM, for example, there's a section of the ROM where there are tons and tons of portrait paintings there that were most likely all commissioned by the family of the person or the person themselves. And a lot of them you'll notice are in like a similar style, and I feel like maybe that's what people wanted to buy then, or like what people were willing to commission for.
Yeah, like even if they just saw, like they went over to their buddy's house, their buddy's mansion,
their bud's castle,
and was like, yo, that's a sick portrait, I'm gonna get the same thing.
I love that 8-foot tall painting of you that you have in your own house,
holding a cat that somehow is a human face. Yeah,
with like a humongous like a candelabra and like fruits and like a big curtain in the back.
Yeah,
everything was very like royal and ornate. I don't know.
Which makes sense because they were all the rich people, and they would want to accentuate that aspect in their their image.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They wanted everything to be really fancy. I think you can really see that, and also a lot of religious art for sure. But well, hard for us to say like other countries and things like that because we're not art historians. Yeah. No. So we kind of are familiar with what's been shown to us in regards to our particular location in the world, but other places are, I'm sure, still influenced by rich people buying art and religious art, but it's different in a different context than it is here. Like we have a lot of like British art here and like Canadian and American art and stuff, so that stuff is all kind of the same, like Western whatever colonial influences, but there's a lot of like Christian and Catholic art here. I don't even really know where I was going with that thought.
I don't know. There doesn't have to be a reason to any of this. This is just kind of us rambling about things that we think about.
True. I feel like doing art when you haven't been taught from a kid that like art is interesting and something you should do is really difficult. It's very discouraging almost. Like I know some people, there's like an art school in our city that starts in like elementary school. Like kids that went to that school, they've been doing art for forever.
Yeah, because that was the focus. Yeah, like it wasn't math, science, English. It was painting, sculpting, drawing, like or whatever. Music, yeah.
So they were really used to it, but when I was a kid, we didn't really do any of that. And also my school had like no money for art supplies.
Yeah, that's always the first thing that gets cut is like the art classes and music classes and stuff. Because like it's not seen as practical, and in many ways it's not, but also I feel like it's important.
But yeah, it's really hard to do art, especially starting as like an adult. Like for me personally, I never started like drawing and like painting and doing all that kind of stuff until I was like 19, 18, because I never did it until like grade 9, and then I was like, I suck at this, I'm awful, I hate it, I'm never doing it again, because you just get discouragaged and you compare yourself to everyone else.
Especially when you're 14 and super fucked.
Incredibly anxious about everything.
And impressionable and like super worried about everyone else.
Yeah, just like a real self-conscious. Your first year of high school, you like don't even know these people. Like, yeah. Easy, very easy to get discouraged.
Even though everyone is like that.
Yes.
But no one talks about the fact that they're like that.
No one.
Because you don't want to be seen as like the weirdo that's worried about what other people think. Because everyone has that like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't care what people think about me. It's
yes,
like,
you do, you stupid idiot.
You super do.
Yeah. The fact that you have to say that all the time means you do. Means that you're acting like you do, and then you're trying to justify it to yourself. Yeah. But like, I'm like that too. 100%.
Everyone cares a little bit about what other people think about them. You just can't let it like really get to you.
Yeah, you just can't let it stop what you want to do. Yeah. But like, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, starting at 19 is tough.
Like, yeah, because you let what people think of you stop you. And even too, there are so many amazing artists, and especially with like Instagram and stuff, like there are so many artists on there, and you can just like scroll through the feed forever and see all this beautiful art, and everyone only posts their most perfect,
of course,
finished pieces. So you're just like, oh man, everything I do is garbage trash. Yeah. But meanwhile, people only post their best.
Yeah, and stuff. Then also like, I feel like to some extent, people use age as an indicator of development a lot. Yeah. When it's not necessarily. Like, people develop at their own rates. Like, artistically. Like, some people don't even try to start until later in life. Like, if you started at 19, then like, yeah, things might be a little kind of rougher at the beginning. Like, you might not get exactly what you want as someone that started when they were in grade 4 or whatever. Like, but at the same time, like, you're still comparing yourself. Like, I'm 19, that person's 14, and they can fucking sketch whatever.
Like a photorealistic,
like, oh, perfectly. And meanwhile, my stick figures, I still sometimes screw up somehow. Like, what? Or like, I have something in my mind. How come I can't get it onto a page? I feel like I struggle with that real bad.
Yeah, me too.
Where,
I think
like,
everyone does.
Yeah. Like, I know exactly what I want. And then I'm like, don't know how to do that.
You're just staring at your hands like, do it. Come on.
Yeah, it's in here. It's in the noggin. It's in the old egg. Let's get it on the paper or in the computer, because I do most of my shit on Adobe Illustrator because I'm like that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But like, age can't really necessarily be an indicator, but it's hard not to like be like, that person's younger than me. Why are they doing better than me? Yeah. Or like, that person's the same age as me. Look.
Remember when Lord popped off? I was like, are you joking me?
Yeah, isn't she like a year or two younger than us?
Yeah, she's younger than us, I'm pretty sure. And that's like amazing. But then you're like, oh man, I've done nothing with my life.
Yeah. Or just like having such like a curated, like defined persona, I guess. Like personality, like you seem put together. But like, even though that was obviously very manicured and like perfected by media companies and shit, like, you still just perceive it as, well, this girl's 16, so she must have it all figured out somehow, and I'm 21 and I'm a knucklehead that can't figure out how to make a stick figure look right.
I feel like it's hard too, because growing up, a lot of people didn't necessarily have the same opportunities to make art. Like, there are things that stop people from being able to do that, because it is, these days, I feel like quite a luxury to have enough spare time to do that, to have the energy to do that, to have the money for supplies to make art if that's what you want. So I know a lot of people will find what they need and they'll use that to make art, which is amazing. They'll use like recycled stuff, but sometimes you want like some markers and paper, and you don't have money for that, so you just don't have money to make art, or you work 1 billion hours a week because you make $14 an hour and you can't pay your rent, so you work constantly and you have no energy to do art.
Yeah, because art takes a lot of energy.
It does, and it takes a lot of time to make something you're really pleased with. At the same time, if you grew up having parents who didn't do art themselves, or they don't really prioritize it, they wouldn't think to buy you that kind of stuff maybe either, so you wouldn't have the same start in it as somebody else might have. So it's hard to kind of forgive yourself for that, but you had no choice. Like,
how come I didn't get started earlier? Well, you didn't, so like the option is start now or don't.
Yeah, and if you don't start,
then you can't expect yourself to get better.
Yeah, and you'll just regret it the longer you don't do it.
Even if it's just scribbling in a book, like just for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to show anybody.
No, God,
like,
no.
it's a form of expression that I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of.
Yeah. Every, like, macho dude is like, I'm going to punch a hole in the wall in my bedroom again. Or, like, I'm going to go to the gym and lift heavy weights until I feel better. And it's like...
Yeah, or I'm going to drive fast. Or I'm going to, like...
Like, some of those are reasonable coping. Going to the gym is a reasonable coping mechanism. Punching things is not, for sure not. It's like if you had an alternate form of expression, you might feel a lot better. And I know for me, when I started doing more art in my life, I started feeling way better.
Yeah.
Because I had an outlet for my feelings, and a lot of the time it's hard to articulate that in words.
Yeah.
Or talk to people about it. Or even explain it to yourself, or think, like, understand how you feel. But then I'll, like, go back through my sketchbook and I'm like, oh, that's how I was feeling then. Like, looking at my drawings and, like, the colors you use. And it just gives you such a good insight to yourself.
Because, like I said earlier, like, both art and emotion are, like, rational, logistical, like, analytical things. So it's easier to align emotion with art than, like, emotion with numbers or emotion with... sort of like categories, whereas art, it's like, well, it's whatever you want it to be. So like, if that's how you express being angry, that's how you express being angry. Like, but also like, joy is also an option for art. You don't always have to be sad about it, believe it or not.
Yeah, I feel like art gets a bad rep for being like, oh, artists are all like depressed people who do drugs and live depressing lives or whatever, and then like die young. It's like, that is true for some people. Yeah. And it is true probably that a lot of people who are artistically inclined maybe have struggled with mental illness. Like, I feel like that's not maybe a huge stretch to make. Yeah. But it's at not,
least common.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily cause and effect, but it's at least there is a relationship. Yeah. Or there appears to be.
There's something there. Something to be said about it. Not sure what it is. Hard to quantify that in any reasonable way. But even like musicians, you'll see a lot of musicians struggle with like substance use or like...
Like we've lost multiple people in the last week.
Yeah.
To substance abuse.
Last year, with many.
Yeah.
You don't have to tie art and music in with sadness and with drugs and with tragedy. It is part of it, and doing art helps you through tragedy. Doing drugs is a part of being a person in life. Yeah. Unavoidable, mostly, unless you don't want to do that, which is fine. Yeah. Like, and being sad and having feelings is also unavoidable.
Oh, 100%. Like, how can you be happy if you're not sad sometimes? Like, yeah. So, like, yeah, I don't know.
Art is such a coping mechanism for so many people, myself included. Yeah. That I think it is hard to untangle it from that. Yeah. But also, some of my favorite art is like the most happy, like goofy, like this is just for fun. This isn't like intensely emotional or political. It's just like
I was feeling good, so I made this fun cat picture.
Yeah, like here's a nice comic about going to the store and getting an iced tea. Like that's the good stuff.
That's a big mood.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. 'Cause like then that art also like emotionally impacts the person that's viewing it, like not just the person that makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some very like sad songs and some very like sad poems and art or whatever can help you through a bad time, but so can something happy. Like if you want to cheer yourself up,
it can kind of like remind you that happiness exists.
Yes. 100%. It's easy to forget too when you've been feeling garbagey for a really long time that you can actually feel better.
Yeah, that you're kind of just wallowing in it. It's just like, oh wait, like you kind of have to build back up. You can't just keep going down.
Yeah, like you just sink deeper and deeper into it and you kind of forget that you could swim to the top at some point. It may take you a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But your head's above water eventually.
And it's harder than just letting yourself sink. Like, getting back up takes so much more work.
Yes.
So, like, I think having art, like, there to kind of lend a helping hand, it's like a motivator, reminder thing. And, like, all of this, like, it all is so important. And then I'm just like, I make some things in Illustrator sometimes. like we're tying so much significance to this like abstract, like insane loose concept. So like I think attaching just like the simple word artist is so tough.
Yeah,
because it's like that, like literally everything we've just talked about, that's one thing. Which is insane. Like, it's both happy and sad and means everything but also means nothing and is for a purpose but has no purpose. But yeah, I'm an artist. Fuck it. Like, I don't know.
I feel like everyone is, if they let themselves be, but not everyone
wants to be.
Yeah, not everyone wants to be, not everyone's interested, but I feel like there's art in everyday moments. Like, one of my favorite painters, she was this Canadian painter who passed away recently, but all of her paintings were like really like normal, mundane, everyday life scenes, like her like peeling oranges, her like doing the dishes or whatever, and just like nice still life images of things that are kind of mundane parts of Canadian life that you don't really think would be artistic, but then kind of spun in a more beautiful way. I don't know.
It's like taking the moment to realize that, like, I don't know, moments have significance, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, part of that art is like noticing things.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, even elements of business and stuff have an art to them. Like,
the art of the deal.
Hell yeah, that's right. This is a Donald Trump podcast now.
I don't think business has any art to it because fuck capitalism. And
I mean, yeah, capitalism is not ideal, because I don't have money. That's why it's not ideal. But like,
because it actively oppresses me every day.
But I think there is a certain, maybe it's not art. It's just kind of like finesse to like make it work. Like, I don't know. There is a certain, like, maybe this isn't the best thing to do by the book or like according to the numbers, but like it's going to work out better in the long run because of just like how people can't necessarily separate their emotions from logic. So like in some ways business has to embrace art in order to resonate emotionally, like, and that just seems like a weird manipulative thing.
Oh, for sure.
Which it is most of the time.
But there's still like an art of creativity to it.
Yeah. Like, not marketing takes creativity.
Yeah.
Even if it's to sell me the same shitty toothpaste that I've been using for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and like people go to art school to learn advertising. Like OCAD has an advertising program that you can do. So I'm like, as much, like, for me personally, I'm a big no guy on that one because I hate it. But because
like, do you have to like all art? Can you just like not like some art?
Yeah, definitely. Some artists are garbage people. Some pieces of art are, would you say, objectively bad? Maybe. If it's like offensive or like racist, then I guess, yeah, it is objectively bad to me because it's not ethical, which to me would be objectively bad. Yeah. Everyone has their own opinion, and art is entirely subjective, surely. So you can like and dislike what you want. Like, I don't love every single painter in the world.
No, definitely not.
Do I have favorites? Yes. Do I have least favorites? I guess, probably, if I had to think about it, but who cares?
Yeah, like, I couldn't name my least favorite artist. I don't fucking know. Florida Georgia Line? Probably Florida Georgia Line. Bro Country's intrinsically bad.
It's really bad.
They're like, yo, I hate hip-hop, but let's use every element of hip-hop, but still talk about truck and gun.
The real tea there is that they don't like black people, but they see hip-hop as successful, so they appropriate it and make money off of it.
You bet.
I have a thought about art.
Throw it at me.
Using expensive supplies and using like expensive paints and like markers and stuff is bullshit. Just so you know, you don't have to use nice fancy supplies to make cool art. You can buy your crayons from the dollar store and use like a piece of construction paper, and that's still just as good.
I don't think it's necessarily bullshit, but I don't think
like
it
you
makes
can
it
use them if you
intrinsically
want.
better.
No, it doesn't, for
like,
sure.
If you're like using shitty paints and you're like, man, you know what would make my art better?
Better paint.
Expensive paint. But I mean, like, some cheap paint is just bad. Like, it doesn't stick to the paper right, and like doesn't have the right finish. So like, if you have a specific reason that you want like a more expensive thing, like, I get it. But if it's just expensive for the sake of expensive sake,
That's what I mean.
For the status of like, well, I use this brand.
This is an artist brand. Like, even when you go to like Michael's or whatever, they have like it divided into 3, I think, levels. There's like beginner, intermediate, and then there's like professional.
Okay.
For all of the like supplies. I think it's mostly paints.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I feel like, where it might kind of matter the most for some people. Like, if you're a painter, you might like to use nice paints, which is fair depending on what kind of painting you do. But they have it divided, so you're like, I'm not a real artist unless I use the like professional grade, like $40 tube paints. It's like,
but I mean, if you're gonna use if you're gonna use that the same way as the cheap paint, then you're getting no benefit out of the expensive paint other than the like status.
Yeah.
And like that, there's no purpose to that.
Yeah.
Like, let the art speak for itself rather than like, I spent $80 making this painting. Isn't it great?
Yeah, like you just fell for the marketing of the paint because the tube is like shiny.
Yeah. Which, if that's the effect you're going for, like, by all means.
If you want to buy yourself, like, I have some paints that are nicer paints than my other ones. Like, that's fine. Sometimes the cheaper paint brands don't make the same colors.
Yeah.
They don't have the same texture, whatever, or finish. And that's fine. But if someone is like, your drawing isn't good because you used a dollar store marker, come on, dude.
Oh, you used a Bic number 2 pencil? Ha.
A Bic pencil.
Yeah. That's how bad it is.
They might make pencils, actually.
I have no idea.
Well, they probably make mechanical pencils. Yeah, clicky pencils.
Clicky pencils.
If anyone takes something away from this, it's please do art. If you don't do it, just try a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't put any pressure on yourself to like make anything. Just like watch TV and like get a pen and like a notepad if you have that's what you have, and just doodle something while you watch TV. And just like that, I don't know, that's how it starts. Like, I was just doodling and stuff, and
then you find something you like, and that you develop it. Yeah, like,
I feel like the key too is having someone to like encourage you to do it. Like, if I didn't have friends who were like, yeah, do art, like, no matter how many times I was like, this is the worst drawing in the world, if they weren't like, no, do more, it's good.
Even if it's like, just them being nice.
Like, even if it's just them being nice, like, let your friends be nice to you. Let them encourage you to do stuff that's outside your comfort zone and try new stuff, because I feel like you have nothing to lose. Like, just grab a pen, make a little drawing. Like, you have literally nothing at all to lose.
Yeah, and like, it doesn't have to be realistic. It's called developing a style. Like,
yeah, you can draw whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the best part of art. It's anything you want it to be.
Yeah, like, even if you're just like, it doesn't even have to be drawing. You can just like take the newspaper from yesterday morning and like cut it up in a fun way and paste it all over the place, or like paint, or
make a collage out of old magazines, like recycle some, like use your old newspapers and make like paper mache.
Yeah, or like, I mean, like I said, like, I do most of my shit on the computer, and that's like, yes, I'm paying for a stupid program that helps me do it, but like, there are like, I'm not saying MS Paint, but like, there are
do it in MS Paint.
Like, it has its limitations, but it also has a lot of different functions that you can explore and have fun with. And like, they recently introduced Paint 3D with Windows 10, I think. So like, you can try 3D art with whatever. Like, it's all just an experiment. Like how gravity is still technically a theory, I think art is all an experiment. Like, there's no like, yep, that's art. It's like, does this seem like art? Yeah, sure.
Do you think it's art? If you made it and you think it's art, I guess it is. Fashion's art. If you put on a hoodie and leggings and you're like, this is art. That's art, dude. You're art now.
Congrats.
Like,
yeah,
makeup is art. Put some colors on your face. You're art now.
Yeah.
Paint your nails. It's art too. Being yourself. This is art, dude.
Yeah, in a way, it's just like acting, or not even act. I mean, acting is art, but like,
yeah,
like doing your own shit, and like not letting, I don't know, the standard, the quote unquote standard, big S, capital S standard, like dictate what you want to do. In a way, that's sort of art. Just like
not giving a fuck about shit. That's
art. Or like intentionally, it's giving a fuck, but saying fuck you.
Yeah.
Like in a way, you can't say fuck you if you don't care. That's giving it too much attention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely care. It's like if you yelled, "I don't care." Like you care.
You care. You're putting energy into it right now.
If you didn't care, you wouldn't have said anything.
If you didn't care, you would have walked away.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, in a way, I guess like anything that you wanna like just do is art. But at the same time, does that make you an artist?
Yeah.
Which is kind of like this question that started all this is like I'm a weird boy with purple nails right now. Does that make me an artist? No. But in a way, kinda.
Painting your nails is art. You're painting.
It's true. Someone else painted these, so they're the artist. Actually, I did the accent now.
No, you're the artist now. Yeah, man. Like being a seamstress, making clothes, that's art.
Yeah.
Knitting and sewing and stuff, that's art. Your grandma makes you a blanket. Your grandma's an artist, dude.
Yeah.
Your grandma's probably an artist anyways, because grandmas are sick.
Grandmas are dope.
They love doing like needlepoint and
Cooking
stuff.
is fucking art.
Cooking, yes.
The culinary arts, 100%. It's
pastry arts.
It's like expressing yourself through fucking crazy ass pastries and.
You know what? You cooked yourself some craft dinner.
Bitch, you an artist.
That's art. You put a little squiggle of ketchup on there, dude.
Dude, put some garlic powder in there. That's art.
That is art.
If you've never done that, you should.
Get some Dijon ketchup.
Ooh. I tell you what, cut up a hot dog, make it look like a little octopus.
Cut up a hot dog?
Picasso.
You are Guy Fieri. You are him. I wonder if this is like horrendously grating to listen to if you're like a classically trained like art historian, probably.
Probably,
but
at
the same time, I
like,
don't care what you think also. I care. This is more for people who are like who don't consider themselves artists or who don't do art. Like that's who I want to hear this, because that's who I want to be like, please do something. Pick up a guitar. Just do whatever. Just noodle around with it. Pick up like a flute. Get whatever weird instrument you want. Get yourself an auto harp.
I mean, yeah.
Just like do something for
grab
yourself.
A couple spoons. Grab a washboard. That's how fucking country music started.
Jangle around the cutlery in your drawer. That's how you make noise music, dude.
Yeah. I mean, one of my like favorite songs right now, like there's a bit of a guitar riff, but like the majority of the song, it's like just one note that's getting like hammered on over and over again. And I'm like, okay, so it's just like frustrated. Like you can just feel that like, fuck it, I don't want to write a song. It's like just getting out the energy. I think that's just it. It's taking all this like nebulous energy that you fucking have in your life that you can't put towards work or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just like focus it into whatever. If you put your energy into making your outfit look dope, yes. If you put your energy into making a painting, yup.
Mm-hmm.
If you focus your energy into making dope craft dinner with garlic powder, Dijon ketchup, and a hot dog.
If you dance around in your room at night to like, I don't know.
Bound 2 by Kanye West.
That's just you. No, that's a lot. That's me. That's also a lot of people I know, probably. Dancing, dude, that's art. You just jump around a little in your room. You do a little Saturday Night Fever, a little shimmy, you know.
Is a mosh pit art?
Do a little hand jive. If someone's doing the windmill arm thing, then yes. I don't even know what that's called.
I don't know.
But because that's my favorite one, and at every single show I'm like doing it just because I have to. If someone's swinging their arm around but they're respecting others around them, that's art too. Yeah, like you could do anything.
Yeah, and yet somehow, still, I'm just like, nah, I'm not an artist.
But
It's so weird how, like,
we learned?
it's so weird that, like, I mean, like, yeah, I feel like this is kind of like a decent place to wrap up.
Yeah.
But, like, I find it interesting that we have kind of, like, wavered to the extremes of, like, I'm not an artist, I don't do anything. And then we're like, everything's art, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I think that definition just kind of has, I don't know, connotations.
It does. There's like a status to it. I feel like what I would maybe want someone to take away from this is artists are not all like Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali. It's not like you don't have to be Kurt Cobain. Like you don't.
No.
You don't. Those people are extraordinarily famous and they are artists.
Yeah.
But just make some craft dinner, dude. You're doing art.
Yeah.
Just do a little spin around in your room. Play like a chord on the guitar. Like you got this.
Just connect with yourself.
Let yourself be elevated to the status with those people. Don't let yourself be discouraged. But yeah, don't let yourself be discouraged. If you've never done art before, you can. You're an artist.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you think it's good. It is. I think it's good. Tweet it at me. I want to see it. Tweet me a picture of your craft dinner because I want to see it. Tell you did a sick job.
Do you want your Twitter out there? You can share your Twitter if you want it.
Yeah, we can like put it in the description or whatever.
Yeah.
Tweet me your art. That would make me extraordinarily happy.
Yeah, you can tweet it at the Midnight Musing.
Oh yeah, tweet it at the podcast. I'll look at it.
Too.
Think highly of yourself. You're cool.
Yeah, I think it's okay to be down, but and like obviously everyone's their own harshest critic, but
yes.
You know, like I'm still not going to call myself an artist. I don't. That's not going to change anytime soon. But I think everybody's doing art.
They are. You know, outsider art doesn't exist.
No, because everybody's in society.
No one's an outsider. We live in a society. No one's an outsider to art. Everyone's inside of it. And you're all welcome.
Well, that was episode 2 of Midnight Musing in the books. A bit less of a bummer of an episode, thankfully. I hope you found the conversation interesting and maybe you're convinced to try a little bit of art now and again. If you want to keep up with Sam, you can follow her on Twitter at SamBeCareful. Or since we mentioned her band, you can find them at fuckspiritdesire.bandcamp.com. I know she downplayed her role in it, but I honestly think it might be one of my favorite bands. They're really awesome. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow the podcast at _Midnight Musing on Twitter. Follow at Thunderdog Radio on Instagram and Twitter for updates about the network that I'm in charge of. And yeah, if you want to leave a review, let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what you thought about the show in general. That would be much appreciated. It helps other people find the show, and that's really what the hope is, to just kind of spread these thoughtful conversations so people know that they're not the only ones worrying about whatever it is they're worrying about. But that's the end of this episode for now. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode, and I'll see you next midnight.
Thanks for listening. That was a Thunderdog podcast.